Knives Out, Silk, and Dragonmeet. This is Staying In.
So, gentlemen,
Hello.
when was the last time you took a bath? Do you enjoy baths generally?
Oh, I don't like baths.
You don't?
No.
You don't like them?
Now, we're specifically talking about not visiting the baths.
No,
we're
not,
talking
no,
about visiting the bath in your bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right.
I don't like how long it takes to fill. I don't like the fact that the temperature's never right. It's always too hot. And then it's relaxing for 5 minutes. And then for the rest of the time, it's just a bit of a faff. It's just a faff, isn't it?
All right. Dan, what about you? What's your perspective on the bath?
I love a good bath. Much prefer a bath to a shower every day of the week.
Okay. We heard about your hotel hacks last time, but what is there a particular thing you do with the bath, or is it just you just fill it with water and you sit in it? Do you like candles? Bubble bath?
I mean, bubble bath, definitely. Just sitting in just plain water is just like, I don't know. I'm not a Neanderthal. Give me some bubbles.
Who famously?
Yeah.
Famously didn't use bubble bath.
I mean, that's true. That is true.
That's the only thing that sets us apart. No, the reason I mention this, gents, is that I went into a flotation tank last week.
Okay. Right. A number
Yeah.
of questions spring to mind.
Yep.
First of which is, you do realise that wasn't a bath.
Yeah, no, I was using that as a kind of an icebreaker or an opener.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
he turns up with his soap and his sponge. They open it up afterwards. It's just Kris in suds.
He's brought one of those kind of bottles of bubble bath that comes in the shape of a sailor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they were irritated that I'd just pulled the plug out as well. I mean, they were expecting me. No, so, yeah, you're right, Pete. This isn't a bath for several reasons. One, that it is full to the brim with salt. And what that does is it makes the water go quite viscous and syrupy because it allows you to float. It's like being a bit in the Dead Sea. And second, you are more or less sealed inside this shell. When you lower yourself into it, you kind of pull this thing down. And this was basically at Float Planet in Liverpool. I did this, and my partner bought it for me because I've always wanted to do something like this. Like, I really do. I'm a bit like a budgie in the sense that I get really relaxed in the dark. Like, pitch dark is when I'm at my most relaxed, really. Which
Throw a blanket over him.
And a bucket of water.
If ever he gets too excited, just switch the light off and he immediately calms down.
Yeah. I mean, like somebody hands him a mirror, he can be entertained for hours.
Just me and my cuttlefish. And so basically, yeah, so the way it works is this. So you go there, you have a little shower to kind of wash off all the natural oils of the body. Then you lift up this dome, you get in, and there's this relaxing piano music playing. And I took in with me that they provide for you this like fin, like the floats you used to have when you would go swimming, but like a ring that you put under your head to keep your head afloat. And you just sat there floating on your back there, and then the piano music fades down, and that tells you that your session has begun. So 45 minutes, and then you've got a big button to the side which you can hit, and it just plunges everything into darkness, and you're just floating in the dark. And to start off with, you get a little bit anxious because you're basically sealed into what feels a bit tomb-like, for want of a better word. But after a while, I can't explain it. You just feel like you're in some kind of a spacewalk because you're floating. Like and it's quite a big tank. I was kind of spinning around without realising it because you can't see, and it was a bit like Fantasia with the hippos.
I do want to kind of ask that because you sent us a picture of what the tomb, as you describe it, was. And it didn't look that big.
I mean, yeah, for you, Dan, you're taller than me, so I can imagine you'll think you'll be sticking out the end. But like, it is quite big. It's quite tricky to get.
Can you describe it for me? Because how?
Yeah. So imagine basically like your classic science fiction film, what an escape pod would look like.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No. Immediately, I know what that looks like.
Exactly. And
Okay.
but the way to get into it is like. You like lift the boot of a car up, but it's this nice smooth kind of dome, and you kind of get inside and you drop it down, and you're splashing around.
Are you sure this wasn't just some dodgy car boot that you went to? Just like, yeah, get in there, son.
Somebody slapping the roof of it. So much relaxation in there, mate. So you said you were floating and feeling very space-like. Some people report hearing noises or seeing colours or anything like that? Like, did anything strange happen to you?
Yeah, it did actually. Like, so they give you ear, what are they called?
Plugs.
Earplugs. Yeah, earplugs. So you kind of wedge those in there, so you can just hear your breath quite loudly. But I had this really weird thing where, like, I closed my eyes for quite a while, and it's so dark in there that even with your eyes open, you can't. You know, that little bit where you're thinking, are my eyes open or closed? You just start doubting yourself because there's no difference.
Hang on, no, I've never thought that. I've never thought
I
that.
have. I have.
No, I have. I must
I
admit,
have.
Yeah.
Dan, when you're in pitch dark,
Yeah.
So, like, I had my eyes closed for quite a while, and then I opened them, and for like a split second, I saw like these complex hieroglyphics and runes just floating above my head, and I actually thought it had been projected inside the tank.
Yeah, I've had that before.
And this was part of the treatment. I just saw these runes, these kind of hieroglyphs projected above, and it kind of really, really unsettled me. And then it just disappeared.
Wow.
But it flew by the time. It really did. I'd highly recommend doing it. Once you get over that first couple of minutes, we get a little bit anxious. It's absolutely fine, and they did a fantastic job there. They really do look after you. And then you hear the piano music again.
I have some very important questions to ask.
Okay,
Kris.
go, shoot.
Okay. What does it smell like?
Do you know what? It didn't smell of anything. Actually, it just had a neutral kind of smell. I mean, yeah, no smell whatsoever, really.
Would you want to do stuff in there that was not that was not just sensory deprivation? Like, would it be good to like do work in, or play games in, or like eat food in, or like something where you just want to be really peaceful, or is it?
I think Pete's misunderstanding what this thing is.
I mean, if I took food in there, I wouldn't need to season it because the amount of salt in that space. No, you can't. You're floating. Like, I can't explain it. It's only like it's a foot deep, but you can't stand up in it or anything like that, or even sit up in it properly because you're entirely buoyant.
But you wouldn't want to like take a little book in with a little light and start reading and.
No, I mean, you look like one of those pilot fishes just floating around in the dark with your little book light. No, you just sit and chill. Do you know what? As usual, Pete, whenever I do anything like this, whether it be a massage or any kind of health treatment, I always think, what would Pete do? And as soon as I saw this little ring that you put behind your head, I thought Pete would just put that into the front of his face and he would be floating face down, holding his breath for 45 minutes.
100%.
So, does anyone have any resolutions yet? We're creeping towards the new year. Got to think about these things. Anything you want to change, improve?
I've not even thought about it in the slightest sense whatsoever.
I do.
Oh, okay. We obviously know that Pete's got his big book of stuff to do in a year.
I do. Do you know what? I have not started one of. I didn't start one of those this year, and I don't plan on doing it next year either.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
Well, because I realised that I was kind of either getting through it really, really quickly, or like not really doing it at all. And like, there's actually not that many things I want to do next year.
Pete has done all of the things.
I've done all the things, guys. Basically, we wrap this up. That's it. There's a small number of larger things I would like to do next year. I know what they are. And one of them, and this is my resolution, slam on the table. I'm going to be more creative next year. And it starts with me starting to do stuff around RPGs. I want to write more in general, and I want to like be creative and think more about game design and all that good stuff. And I've realized that one of the things I would really like to do is do some RPG stuff. And that might just be like a small little scenario or something like that, or it might be something a bit bigger or one of those sorts of things. I've kind of thought about lots of different games, and this kind of sparked off. You remember we were talking about Pixel Game Maker MV? Uh-huh. Like, that really did, like, if you set the bar low enough, the scope small enough, you can create things, you can go off and do these things. I think RPGs are going to be the thing, because basically I've been really inspired recently. I went out to, I went last year, I went to Dragonmeet,
All right. Meet.
Meet. Good play on words. And from the folks at Modiphius. Now, I will couch this because there's a potential conflict of interest, guys. I know we're very journalistic, very ethical. I have just published a game with the people who run this event. So, conflict of interest acknowledged. There we are.
I don't want to hear anything else then. I don't know. I feel this whole thing feels tainted now.
Get out, Johan Hari. Yes, basically, I would say. So I went to it. It's very, very good. It was very good last year.
You would say that, though, wouldn't you?
Oh, their conflict. So if you don't remember what I was saying about last year, basically it's a big RPG event, and I mean tabletop RPGs. It's spread over 3 floors now of a hotel in London, the Novotel in Hammersmith, and it's certainly really inspired me just to kind of go to an event like that and see what could be done. Like, you know, there's a lot of creativity, I think, in that space, and there's a lot of like space to actually like move in and do something interesting and different. I think the RPG community is quite open to new ideas.
That's good.
And new things. I mean, I guess it's like, obviously, like, you know, we've been playing role-playing games as a group recently, and we've been playing specifically the Batman game. And the Batman role-playing game, and it's really interesting that you can, you know, go and play a game that's about superheroes and all sorts of other things by the end of the adventure, and you can also go and play as anthropomorphized mice who run a bike gang in Heavy Metal Thundermouse, and you can also go and play as, you know, a level 7 cleric elf. In Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or something like that, and there's tons of other different spaces, and I find that really inspiring. Like, quite, you know, that you can just do anything and make it into a role playing game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, they're these wonderful imagination factories that you've just got at your fingertips.
Yeah,
like the Lord of the Rings one. You very kindly got me for my birthday.
Yeah,
it's great. Honestly, I'm massively addicted to it. I've actually started using it in my teaching.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, I'll run an RPG session for the students just to kind of introduce them to a way of being able to improvise and create characters. And and actually, to start off with, they're often a little bit kind of, what? This is a bit weird. But actually, seeing like things such as D&D more and more appearing in popular culture, I'm thinking off the top of my head, Stranger Things, for example.
Right.
Makes it a little bit more appealing for them. They've got something there that they can kind of recognise, say, for example. Yeah. And they can also see how it relates to how it's almost, in some respects, no different to the kind of processes they're doing when they're creating characters for performances, say, for example.
Yeah.
Just a different outcome for it, really.
Yeah.
I think that's ever since we started playing RPGs, not even too long ago, kind of, we started playing them. It struck me very early on that this kind of seemingly impenetrable kind of area of RPGs is just improvisation. And once you actually just think of it like that, yes, potentially, depending on who you are, that might be still a hurdle you need to get past. And that can be difficult for some people, absolutely. But if you're in a space where you feel safe with the people that you're with to kind of express yourself and try new ideas, and there's not going to be any kind of people laughing at you because everyone's in the same boat, that was a big kind of thing of like, oh, this is just improvising. If I make a joke and it falls flat, then that's okay. There's not a problem. You just move on to the next bit.
That's my life.
Yeah.
I find it to be a real social way of playing a game. And so if you're limiting what level of social interaction you can have, then that is taking all the fun out of it.
If you're all sat there like, well, hold on, we could talk, but I do need to figure out which combination of dice and results I need. Like, that to me is like,
Oh. So, Pete, this is your second time at Dragonmeet.
Yep.
What, as I'm a newbie, for a new person visiting Dragonmeet, what's your top tip?
If you are like new to RPGs, I would say the best thing is block out about 4 hours for it. If you and go there and do basically 2 laps. Go and do it like twice. Go like the whole thing twice, because you'll see everything. You'll take it all in once, and then you'll go and actually do the things that you go and get the things you want to do. Go to the Playtest UK stuff. Go and see interesting new stuff happening. I haven't listened to the lectures or anything, but I probably will next year. If you're into RPGs though, and you haven't been to the event, I would say go bang on for when it opens, because you can go and play RPGs there as well, and there are people who are just running games.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, but obviously, you're probably going to want 4 or 5 hours just for that. So anyway, yeah, it was very inspiring. So maybe I'll start putting some ideas together at some point.
When do we want to do? You know.
Well, it sounds like somebody.
It sounds like someone's ready already.
Well, can I just tell you something about the Secret Santa thing? So I was so
Yes.
paranoid about accidentally opening my Secret Santa by mistake that I had this parcel on my desk here that I thought was my Secret Santa gift. And it turns out I'd just been staring at the Hoover attachment I'd ordered in to replace the one we've got. I was that paranoid. I didn't open any parcels. I just assumed.
Can you imagine if you'd opened that on the show? Like, oh, great!
Yes, the ghost story I really wanted.
Yeah.
The ghost of Henry the Hoover, the possessed.
hang on. You're ordering in Hoover attachments. Like,
Yeah.
What kind of attachment? Is it an attachment that's broken or something you really want to do with a Hoover?
Yeah, it's an attachment that's broken. We're not trying to pimp up the Hoover. It's one that's already broken.
Is this for the purpose of cleaning or for the purpose of fun?
Cleaning.
What?
I've never really seen a Hoover as a status symbol, Pete.
I don't know. Like maybe there's like a game you can play with it or something. Like, I don't know. You ever play Blow Football?
Yeah, there's that other game called Ellie Fun as well.
Yeah, Ellie Fun.
I mean,
there you go.
You pick the one sport that the My Hoover cannot do, which is blow. That was a short game.
Well, all right, yeah. So Ellie, you could do Ellie Fun. You could do like a version of Hungry Hungry Hippos.
It's true.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the attachment you bought? A big hippo's mouth?
Was it that? Was it that, Chris?
To make hoovering more fun.
Yeah.
But it's not plugged in. It's just a big pump at the back that you just have to frantically.
To be fair, it would make hoovering more fun.
What if it was a big hippo's mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it would. Or an elephant's mouth, probably be better. But yeah, that'd be amazing. You'd be like, look at this great fun time that I'm having, hoovering out the back of the car. Like, brilliant. We need to.
There we go.
We need to get on that.
Yeah.
You can visit stayingin.merch.com.
Don't,
for
because someone will, and they'll be like, oh.
One of the reasons I spoke of resolutions before is like Pete. I've already given myself a resolution for the new year. So much so that I'm enacting it out at the moment. It's currently out of beta phase and it's gone gold. Resolution is happening. It was a resolution that came about when I was round Kris's one weekend, and we were playing a game called Silk. Now, Silk is a very, very good game, incredible game. Part sort of area control, part worker placement. The idea of it is that you are all essentially like worm farmers, and between you, the shepherd you control, and this little mastiff dog, you have to sort of wrangle these little worms that you have onto the best, most fertile bits of ground in order to make the most points, essentially. And it's this wonderful little sort of entry-level game into the world of like area control and worker placement. It's exceptionally really inviting, and everyone that I've showed it to has taken to it extremely well, and I love it. And it's got this wonderful mechanic to it, which essentially you can only ever do what you roll the dice to do. So all the different actions like moving your shepherd or putting down new little grubs or building a wall in order to protect a little bit of your fiefdom. It's all determined by the number that you roll on a dice. Between 1 to 6, you roll 2 dice, so you get 2 actions per turn. And that's great because it eliminates a bit of that analysis paralysis of like looking at the board and going, oh my God, what am I going to do this turn? So we were playing this excellent game, and it was while we were playing this, it was me and Kris, and Chris's partner and Chris's neighbour. And it was when we had passed an hour of playing this very light area control game that I realised that I finally saw myself in Chris's neighbour, to the fact that he was taking, on average, about 10 to 15 minutes to decide on what he was going to do with his turn.
Right.
And it was in that moment that I just had a bit of a sort of a brain strike, and I thought, you know what I need to do more of? Is I need to just have more fun with games. Like, I need to stop always thinking of, what does probability say the best move here is? And what is my opponent going to do? And can I stop them? And what would be the most judicious part of, movement in this situation? And like, I just have this realization playing Silk that this is a game that just wants you to have fun. Like, it is just a game that wants you to roll some dice and go, right, this is what I'm doing. Let's try and make the best of the situation here. And I felt like I take games sometimes far too seriously. It was just like part of my resolution for this next year, is just to try and let that little bit of me go. And even though Silk has this wonderful little bit of depth to it, which allows you to do those kind of that thinking around this area control and this puzzle that's going on. I think it really is a game that shines best when you just take a step back and you just go, right, I'm just going to see if I move that there, let's just see what happens.
Right. That sort of the creative side of play.
Yeah, exactly. And not worry so much about what probability says like the best move is in this gambit. 'Cause I think it just like with certain games and with certain people, I think you can kind of do that, but I think you really have to pick and choose the game that you're doing it with. Like me and Kris are talking about it, so I think something like Blood Bowl or a miniatures game, go at it. Really start thinking about the minutiae of like exactly how far away your character is. So you want to do that, so you've got to get them within a certain millimeter to like perform some sort of action, or like you've got to really think about that.
Absolutely. Miniatures games actually have this real I think problem, which is in the competitive scene. Sometimes you can bring calculators, and there are people who turn up to competitive games and even open games like that are just more like narrative friendly, just hanging out in a store kind of games. And they'll bring with them apps, calculators, laptops, that kind of thing. And they will sit there and they will figure out the best sets of probability for each unit shooting at each different other unit on the field, right?
Yeah.
And so it'll be like, okay, well, I get 6 dice with this, and then I'll get this is their wounds, and this is their toughness, and this is the strength, and they sit there and figure it all out, and then they go, yep, brilliant, 6 dice, and like, it's too much. Like
exactly.
It's far too much.
I think, Sam, you at times get with games and stuff like that, you get quite competitive. Do you
Yes.
Do you think that this kind of change of kind of thought process is also about kind of not worrying about winning so much and just having that take a back seat, or is your focus still winning but having more fun with it?
No, I'm not. I want to try and get rid of that part of me which is always focused on winning and trying to eke out like what is the best strategy. And after I've played a game, I'm always thinking like I want to change my thought process from what would have been a better strategy in order for me to win. I want to change it from that to this is how much fun I had playing that game, or like what can I do differently to have a bit more fun next time? And it was kind of like, it's kind of strange that I can sort of focus it in on that one game, Silk, but it kind of just is this, like, has been this wonderful little beacon in like my gaming collection, which has shown me, because it kind of straddles that line perfectly between, this could be a really analytical, like, worker placement and area control game, but at the same time, it's a game that's just trying to tell you that, like, this is just for fun, and it's lots of little worms going about the business.
Yeah,
and in defense, just slightly in defense of my neighbour, he did have like a bottle and a half of red wine in it.
So he's Larry. Go win this.
But like this game, it comes from Devir Games. What for me is really quite stand out on this, aside from what Sam said, is that we talked about croquet a few episodes back, and this is like croquet in the sense that everything has a knock-on effect. So I can move my shepherd, which will move the dog from one tile, which will round up the worms and can kind of move them onto another tile, which will then later on in my other dice roll go into the path of the Ukami. So you can literally roquet, for want of a better word, or you can knock people off the board, as Sam was saying.
Yeah.
But actually, like, because silkworm farming, worm farming, doesn't sound a particularly sexy theme, but what makes this game really appealing also is Roc Espinet's artwork, which is his lovely kind of pastel colours. As Sam was saying, it's a lovely game. It's like looking into a bowl of Lucky Charms, like these colours on the board, and actually you get over that theme very easily, and it becomes a lot more abstract as a consequence. It's a delightful game. It really is a delightful game. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it is delightful.
I'm really, really excited about playing this game again, because I think, like, Silk is going to be that game that, if I can keep playing it, is going to eventually teach me to appreciate what it is to have fun with a game, rather than what it is to always try and win and be competitive. Anyway, Kris, do you want to open your real present now? You can go first because
you've gone on about it.
Yeah, you've gone on and on about it,
incessantly.
And how much you've been waiting to open it.
Yeah,
right.
Forever.
I mean, so this is our Secret Santa we do every year. In the last episode, I asked for my Santa to send me a ghost story. I've got it here.
By the way, Kris, I still own the one that you gave me. So you can have that back at the weekend.
Yeah, cool.
I always love the noises that get made. The scrunching of presents. That's one of my favourite things.
Awesome. So this is Dark Matter by Michelle Paver.
I know why Sam's laughing.
So Michelle Paver is a very, very good modern-day ghostwriter. So Sam is actually showing the copy of Dark Matter that I let him borrow.
Right.
But actually, I talked about it in the last pod, but I forgot the title of it. And,
Yes, we did!
and
If only we'd remembered the title.
That's amazing.
but the annoying thing is, Sam, it was right within arm's reach of you.
I know. I genuinely thought I'd given it back to you. So, I guess, does this mean I get a double present this year?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I made up because I actually, since the last episode, I was actually wanting to reread this, but I couldn't find it on my shelf anywhere, because this is genuinely one of my favourite ghost stories. So I thank you so much, Santa, because I am actually going to start rereading this, because you know when books say they're spine tingling, and you think, well, okay, I've never really experienced that. In this book, I have done. Really incredibly unsettling. So thank you so much, Santa. That's very kind. It's very thoughtful.
Incredible. Yeah, it is a great book.
This is my gift. It is a red envelope, and it has my name on it, which is good.
What did you ask? What did you ask Santa for again, Pete?
So I asked for a game that represented me. What I am like. So it says here, "Shh, Secret Santa" on the back.
So we all had a limit of £10. It's worth saying again.
That's true. It's a card. Okay. have so much fun this Christmas, and it's a little. I like it. I like that a lot, actually.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. So, hello to Peter. Traditional opening. Enjoy every minute. And then after that is of this game that I believe reflects your personality. And there's a code here. It says, lots of love, Santa. You'll need your Switch. Okay. I'll go and get my Switch. Hold on a second. I'm putting in a little code. Here we are. The last letter is going in.
Here we go. The game that sums up Peter Willington's personality as thought of by one of the members on this call.
By the Secret Santa is Undertale. Ooh, okay. Redeem. Here we go. I could ignore it. That wouldn't be very nice, would it? Undertale. Excellent. Okay. What? Okay. Oh, it's downloading now. Brilliant. I am going to now go over to here and type in what Undertale is, because I always get this one mixed up with another game called Downwell. Which one's this?
What, the shoot 'em up?
Yes. Undertale. Okay, so it's like an JRPG. Oh, I've seen this character before. And the little dog. Okay, I am very, very excited to play this. Now, I'm sure all of you have played Undertale. So, would you recommend that I know anything about this before going in? Or should I have a little... Oh, okay, go on then.
I would recommend that when you play it for the first time, to try and not kill anything.
Okay. I can do that.
You need to try and kind of push down that kind of bloodlust that we know you always have.
Don't let the red mist descend.
We all know your stories of playing Street Fighter.
Because someone might say that in terms of your personality, one could say that you're a person who appreciates the time someone might take to put into your relationship. True. And also you very much appreciate sort of you're a very karmic person. I think you believe that you put good into the world, you get good out of the world, and you should appreciate the world you live in.
I do think that.
And so one could argue that Undertale is a perfect reflection of those principles. In what you put into the game, you will eventually get out of the game.
I look forward to playing it. Also, it's very good.
Pete, also, don't be put off by the first impressions of it.
Okay.
Kris!
Joy to the world. Right, good. I'm really looking forward to playing that. Whoever my Secret Santa was, thank you ever so much. That is a very, very thoughtful gift. All right.
Okay,
Sam.
me next,
Yes.
by default. Mine's just in some cardboard packaging, very thin. This year I asked for a solitaire game. Oh, it's been wrapped in traditional Christmas jet black paper.
Tanish Kapoor's Christmas wrapping paper.
And inside here, it's a book. And, alright, okay, I was a bit worried about whether it's going to be a solitaire game because it's called Four, F-O-U-R, Against Darkness. So I was a bit worried. But no, it is a solitaire dungeon delving pen and paper game. Entering the dungeon is easy, but will you get out of it alive? It says on the back. Four Against Darkness is a solitaire dungeon delving game that may also be played cooperatively. No miniatures are needed. All you need is this book, a pencil, 2 dice, and grid paper. Oh, bloody hell.
And 3 friends.
Says, length of game. Your first game will take a little bit longer than an hour. But after you familiarise yourself with the mechanics, a typical solo game lasts about 45 minutes. Cooperative games last longer due to the discussions among participants.
Unfortunately, you'll have to talk with your friends. So why have you been playing... You play a couple of solo games, don't you, Sam?
Yeah, I just like... Lisa finds it incredibly weird when I'm just there sitting at home, like playing Ganshon on my own or playing Friday. But I think I see it as like one of those like all-round experiences. So if I'm like playing a computer game, like I'm sitting in the living room and like I'm watching TV. However, if I'm just playing Friday or I'm looking at Journal 29 for an hour, still not figuring out what's earth's going on, I've like made the choice to put on some music. I've got a drink. Maybe I've got a snack. I'm sitting somewhere comfortable. I'm nice. It's a bit like what we talked about in that miniatures thing. It's that making that very, very conscious decision of I'm going to take these next 30 minutes for myself.
Yeah.
But like, it's not what I thought. Like, I thought it was going to be like inside the book, which is going to be like essentially like a choose your own adventure.
Right. What, like a Death Trap Dungeon or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. It's just me on my own playing an RPG.
I like the fact that the book seems to kind of, it feels as though it's a 4-person game, but the writers decided, no, I want this to be a 1-person game. So I'm just the first line is going to be, you play this by yourself, and then everything else is about being cooperative.
Yeah.
But
You're playing it by yourself.
oh my God. This is incredible. Chris, I know you're meant to be coming round this weekend, but
I'll just sit in the corner reading Dark Matter.
yeah, reading your new book. Thanks, Santa.
All right, is it my turn then?
No. You don't get one.
Oh,
You don't get one.
come on, let Dan.
Well,
let Dan.
up until about an hour ago, you're right. I didn't think I was going to get one.
What? Tell us the story, Dan. What happened? How did you mess this up?
I mean, firstly, didn't mess anything up. Secondly, I don't think there's too much of a story. Thirdly,
Right.
I didn't have a third thing. I got far.
Threes are just nice.
Yeah. Things
Comedy of
should
threes.
just come in threes. So kind of the way this works is kind of we all send stuff and then people will be like, oh, I got my gift, I've sent mine, and like, Pete, you'd said I've sent mine, and I've got mine. Chris, I've sent mine, I've got mine. Sam, I've sent mine. Blah blah blah. I'd said I've sent my gift. Nothing had arrived. I was still at work, and my wife had come home early. And she she texted me and said, "There's no Secret Santa." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I promise you, her next text was, "Do you want me to email the person who got you the present and tell you how they are?" And I was like, "No, that's okay," because she's like really annoyed. I was like, "No, it's all right. We'll work something out." So at that point, literally up until like an hour and a half ago, I didn't have a gift. And then when I got home, on the side, there was a package that my wife had misinterpreted and thought it wasn't a Secret Santa. But, I mean, potentially it's not. Who knows? I might show this to you guys and none of you may recognise it. And actually, I don't have a Secret Santa.
Could be a Hoover attachment. Well, you did ask for something for the house, so it could be a staying in branded Hoover attachment. Just Chris's face on the end.
Oh god!
I'm not going to lie. I just ripped off my old one and posted it.
Yeah. So I did ask for something from the house, and I came home and I found this cylinder package waiting for me from an online company. I mean, the fact that it's a tube kind of leads me down a path.
Pringles.
That it's some kind of print or something. And hang on. Hang on.
Bottle. It's a bottle. It's a bottle of wine. Oh.
I believe it to be a print of something.
It's very thin. It's a very thin book.
It's wrapped in tissue.
Parchment.
Parchment.
It's the staying in commandments.
Oh. Thou shalt not mention Monopoly.
Thou shalt always say, my wife.
Oh, wow. This is a print.
Okay.
From one of my favourite scenes, from one of my favourite games. And it's a beautiful print. And it is a print of the scene in The Last of Us where Ellie and Joel meet the giraffe.
Oh, wow.
And it is stunning. It's kind of like a silhouette against like a kind of a sunset background. And that is beautiful. And I will get that framed or mounted, and I will put that. I will
in
hang
the
that
toilet
up in my office, in my hopefully new house. And so whenever I'm podcasting, I'll be able to look up and see that picture.
You have a little giraffe looking at you.
I will indeed.
Oh.
Oh, hang on.
Who's that?
Hang
God,
on. Just
no,
get this.
no.
Who's that?
No.
Is that who I think it is?
No.
Just get this.
He's got
Is that-
props. He's got props.
Hello? Who's there?
Oh,
It
no.
can't be, can it? Is it?
Hello.
Oh.
It's the Question Man. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thanks, Question Man. I wasn't really expecting your call. I'm fine, thanks.
I can't believe it's the Question Man.
And how are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
No.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh.
Well, this
He's
is
very friendly, isn't he, the Question Man?
he is very friendly, isn't he?
He's the one thing I've never quite understood about the Question Man is he's a lack of emotion in his voice, isn't there? It's quite a
I know.
not really.
I know. Have you got a question for us?
The question is from Holly.
Oh, I'm
Ooh.
very excited to hear that the question's from Holly. Okay, Question Man. So can you tell us?
You are too happy with this.
Can you tell us what?
What is your favourite quality street?
Did you all hear that?
Yep.
I don't think he needs to repeat himself.
Ooh.
All right, Question Man. Yeah, we've got the question now. So
Can you, I just want to say, Question Man, love to the family. I hope you have a good Christmas.
Goodbye. I love you, Sam.
A little bit of
I wasn't expecting that.
He didn't sound that sure, did he?
little bit of favouritism there.
Okay,
So-
so thanks, Question Man. I've got his number now.
Okay. Oh,
which is,
we'll give him. Yeah. Okay. Current varieties currently in the quality street. I'll quickly go through them, top to bottom of the list. This comes from our favourite website, Wikipedia. So there is. So I should explain for our listeners in New Zealand that there and where else are we famous? Australia. And
Famous is a stretch.
well, yeah.
America probably don't know what quality street.
That's
are.
true. There's all sorts of other places. Where was the other one? South Korea? Was that one of the ones? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
hello to all of you, by the way, and we hope you have a good Christmas. Or if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you just have a nice couple of weeks. So, Quality Street are basically a chocolate, a confection, and they are little different kinds of chocolates, usually filled with something in the middle. And they are quite famous in Britain, probably abroad somewhere as well. And they're all wrapped in very colourful wrapping. A little plastic wrapping, and children in schools would make after Christmas would make little collages out of them. Do you remember that? Did you ever make little Quality Street wrapper collages?
No.
Another bleak chapter from the annals of Willington.
Oh no! I used to make Quality Street, which is probably the sign of like your school compared to mine.
Right.
We used to make Quality Street stained glass windows.
Yeah. So yeah, it does. So
Just sat in the church wondering where that draft's coming from.
So there are other sweet sweet types available, roses, celebrations, and the much maligned heroes. They're all available, but you get the point. The current varieties that they have are the purple one, which is chocolate filled with hazelnut and caramel. The green triangle, chocolate, hazelnut, praline. Toffee finger, pretty self-explanatory, and a hell of a medical condition. Strawberry delight, which is chocolate and then strawberry like a cream. Caramel swirl, which is caramel and chocolate. Milk choc block, it's just chocolate really. Orange chocolate crunch, it's got like bits of orange crunchy bits inside, basically.
I feel like I'm queuing at like a Burger King and I'm asking, what's in this burger?
Yeah.
And the person behind the counter is just...
Orange cream. Yeah. Fudge, just fudge. Coconut eclair, so bits of desiccated coconut inside of a lovely chocolate wrap. Or toffee penny, much like the toffee finger. Chocolate caramel brownie.
That's a new one.
Don't get me started. I have things to say about this.
Okay, well let's hold fire. Lemon zing, which is a lemony one, I guess. Never heard that one. Crispy truffle bite. I quite liked these back in the day. These are in John Lewis stores only, so exclusive. A greenie in a bottle. Don't know what that is. A teal wrapper? Anyway. And matchmakers sold separately as different bits and pieces, basically.
It's just a big box of disappointment, really, Quality Streets, isn't it?
It is. And also, I would say, as a piece of trivia, Quality Street gained the implied endorsement of Saddam Hussein when the Iraqi leader was reported to have offered them to visiting British politician George Galloway in 2002. Nestle... Now, I won't comment, but Nestle were initially positive.
Fine.
But chose to later backtrack the connection. Initially, have you heard about who's eating chocolates? Who's that? Oh, is it a celebrity like Meatloaf? No. Is it? I don't know. Somebody? Is it? I don't know. Is it Barack Obama, one of the most incredible leaders of our time? No, it's a convicted mass murderer. Oh, brilliant! We're initially positive. Right. Anyway, I haven't had Quality Street in ages, but I do miss them.
Really? I find Quality Streets a disappointment.
Really?
Just across the board. There are a fair few good chocolates in there, and all the good chocolates just end up tasting and smelling like the bad chocolates. So it's just like, what's the point?
Yeah, a sort of net loss.
I'm a bigger fan of Cadbury's chocolates. This is Nestle, so I prefer Cadbury's chocolate. By the way, I don't want to skip past the fact that when you had the option to choose any celebrity, your mind went to Meatloaf. Just want to answer that. But the point you made with the caramel chocolate brownie, my favourite by a mile is the Toffee Deluxe. And this year, it has been dropped in favour of a chocolate caramel brownie, and I am not impressed.
Wow!
I think they dropped the Toffee Deluxe 2 years ago, and then there was a social media backlash, and it was reinstated. And then 2 years later, they've got rid of it again, and I am disappointed. Admittedly, the toffee finger is exactly the same, just a different shape, so I can get past it. But I was very disappointed, and I have no interest in the caramel chocolate brownie.
It's all about the caramel swirl, gents.
Yeah, I think
it's
you're right.
all about the caramel swirl.
Yeah, it is. I would say I would go for, and hear me out on this one, I would say my top pick, if I was to have something along these lines, probably would be the coconut eclair. So coconut, if it's the one I'm remembering, basically I'm a big Bounty fan. I've got to say,
you're the one.
Yeah. And I like to think of. I'm very #blessed because that means that every single time I rock up to a little selection of chocolates, there's always the coconut one left. There's always one left. I'm never disappointed. If I could find somebody who liked coffee ones, then I'd be well away because that would be
your perfect partner.
Right.
This is how the Avengers formed.
Oh, hang on. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah.
I've just got a message.
Okay. What's the message?
Oh, it's from the question man. he just doesn't stop now.
Postscript.
He sent me a voice memo on.
A voice memo. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't really be. He shouldn't really be reading other people's mail. But
after what he said to you, I wouldn't open any sort of media messages if I were you.
I'll have a fudge finger. But the thing I most look forward to after 8 before bed.
There we go.
A what before bed?
I'll play again. I can't read.
Okay,
it.
Yeah, to be fair, it didn't sound good.
I'll have a fudge finger. But the thing I most look forward to after 8 before bed.
And after 8
before bed. Okay, yeah, that's.
I heard something very different first time.
I heard something very different. Yeah,
very, very problematic.
Yeah, very. Yeah, very earned our explicit tag. Would you? Here's the question for you. What is the difference between, apart from amount of selection, but what is the real inherent difference between a bag of Quality Street and a bag of Revels?
What do you mean?
Well, Revels are chocolate-covered different things with filling in, right?
Yeah, but they're all the same texture and general size.
Yeah, they all look the same.
Yeah.
So when you put your hand into a bag
Yeah.
of Revels, you don't know what you're going to get. The only thing you know is a Malteser because it's slightly bigger than the rest. With Quality Street, you spend 5 agonising minutes trying to find the single one you like.
Yeah.
And then you get to it, and then you realise Grandad's put the bloody wrapper back in the thing against Christmas protocol.
That is a war crime. Like, people do that with After Eight mints as well. Again, this is another product from our friends at Nestle. But Bendix also do a version. The After Eight mint. Have you ever? Alex does this, and it makes me blood red mad. She takes the After Eight mint out of the wrapper, eats the After Eight thing, and puts it immediately back into the thing. And with the After Eight mints, it's very difficult to see what's a full wrapper and what's an empty wrapper, and it absolutely grinds my gears because every time you go in and you're like, oh, I'll have one of them, and it's like you clutch air. Like,
Hang on, Pete, can I just ask, how often do you have a box of After Eights?
Not long. No, not very often, Dan, because they cause arguments in this house.
Why didn't you invent a new game called After Eight Roulette? You finish your After Eight, then on a piece of paper you write down some sort of funny thing like you got to pretend to be a chicken for 10 seconds or you've got to run around the sofa 10 times or whatever. And you put that inside the After Eight packet, put it back in the box and forget about it. And then when you next have an After Eight, if you pick up an empty packet, you've got to do the challenge that's inside.
Oh, that's a good one, actually.
It's a bit like the Deer Hunter. So, Sam, I was a little bit miffed that we'd planned, you and I, to go and see Knives Out,
Oh, yeah.
Ian Johnson. And instead, Pete, Dan, I got a text from Sam saying he'd elected to go with his father-in-law instead.
Yes.
Right.
And mother-in-law.
Okay.
Yeah. You know. So you know how Sam sometimes goes on about the fact that I sometimes see films without him being there?
Yeah.
I just got a text on the night. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
sorry, I know we planned it, but we're going to go and see it with my parents-in-law.
Well, no, that is shocking. No, honestly, I am surprised.
Well, first of all, Kris, you and Veronica were in Mallorca.
That's true. Yeah.
So
That's what you did to me,
were
Sam.
uninvitable.
Booked the flight straight away, I did.
But yeah, we went to go and see Knives Out, which is, well, it's an Agatha Christie tale for our time, I guess. That's how you describe it, Kris?
Yeah, it's a love letter to that kind of murder mystery. Your quintessential Christie-esque murder mystery. You've got all the makings of it. You've got a famous novelist, a patriarch of a family who's done very well. He's got this big old mansion that's full of mementos of his successes as a novelist, played by Christopher Plummer. And he dies. Yeah. He's found with his throat slit, and it seems like suicide. But for some strange reason, a renowned detective called Benoit Blanc, Benoit Blanc, played by Benoit Blanc, has been hired to have a look into this case, which suggests there's foul play here. And ostensibly throughout the film, secrets are revealed about this family, and you slowly piece together the events of that night. Of Fromby's death, and it goes in this interesting kind of twisty-turny way with this tongue-in-cheek kind of nod and wink to an audience who they're expecting is fully aware of all the cliches, all the conventions, and all the trappings of these Agatha Christie-esque murder mysteries. You've got a fantastic cast. Ana de Armas, who I saw last was in Blade Runner 2049, is brilliant as the former nurse of the murdered man. But the standout performance really as well on top of that is Daniel Craig, who is having as much fun as I've ever seen him in any role as Benoit Blanc, who just basically chews up all the scenery, playing a character that was dubbed CSI KFC by one of the other characters in it. I mean, it is literally Foghorn Leghorn throughout. It's great fun. It's really, really good fun. It's just got hilarious things like, for example, Pete, that the character of the nurse, she has this affliction where basically she cannot lie. If she does lie, it makes her physically sick.
Brilliant.
So,
okay, that sounds good.
But I don't really like. The director has cautioned audiences that have seen it not to spoil anything, so I'm very conscious of that.
Okay.
But if you're really a big fan of murder mysteries, and
especially
I mean, if like we talked about Magpie Murders, the novel, like Anthony Horowitz's a few episodes back, and it is like that kind of. It holds these kind of like Christie stories in such high regard, but it does something a little bit different. There's a little bit of a nod and wink there. It reminds me a bit of like if you took the board game Cluedo and gave it a novelization. You know how you've got these kind of like these broad brushstrokes of a narrative, but then somebody will write the novelization of the film and it goes into much more depth.
Right.
It reminds me of that. Like, what if Cluedo was again a film like, you know, the Tim Curry film Clue, because all the characters represent kind of archetypes you see in these kind of Christie narratives. It's great fun, honestly. It's great fun. You will not be disappointed.
No.
And it's everything you want it to be and more.
And I think especially coming off the back of Rise of Skywalker, no,
The Last Jedi.
Death of Last Jedi. Like, I think you definitely get the feeling of a director who's just like, like Kris out of the flotation tank, just like, oh my god, just like,
or Pete having an after eight.
Yeah, big studio off his back.
It's just like when Joss Whedon finished kind of the first Avengers Assemble and then went straight in and did like a 12-day shoot of Much Ado About Nothing, filmed in black and white at his house with all of his friends and released it and everything like that. But he kind of, people referred to it as like a palate cleanser as much as he loved doing it because it was the antithesis of what Avengers was. From what I've not seen Knives Out, from what I've seen of it, it obviously, for very obvious reasons, reminds me of the film that came out a couple of years ago of the adaptation of Murder on the Orient Express, which very similarly kind of came in with the view of having this kind of murder mystery, but with this all-star cast. Now, I think by it looks as though Knives Out is much more tongue-in-cheek than what Murder on the Orient Express was, although that wasn't necessarily super, super serious, but it obviously played it a bit straighter. And I think there is something really enjoyable about those types of films where part of the enjoyment is just seeing this cast of incredible actors just kind of having fun.
Final question, Kris. Did you miss me?
Of course I did. I bought an extra ticket just to... I actually had an ice sculpture made of you, Sam, which I stuck in the chair next to me.
Oh, political. Oh. So that was Staying In, and for our last episode of this year, it featured Chris Darby, Daniel Frost, Peter Willington, and myself, Sam Turner. It's a big thank you to everyone at Cosmos Games and Devir Games for supporting the show by providing us a copy of The Incredible Silk. If you are struggling for a present for the board gamer in your life, then Silk is definitely up there with some of the best games that we've played this year, I would reckon. Also, it's a big thanks to yourselves for listening to the podcast, sharing it with your friends and your family and your colleagues. Please do continue to do that for us over the coming months, because it really is the best way that this show can grow and we can bring you the best in things that are out there. Have an amazing Christmas. We will be back on the 1st of January 2020, so stay tuned for that. Keep up to date with what we're doing over Christmas, what we're playing, what we're watching. I'm at Mr. Sam Turner. Staying In is Staying In Pod on Twitter, Instagram. StayingInPodcast.com's got all the information you need to follow us over the festive period. I know you want to, but again, please let me reiterate, have a fantastic holiday season, whatever you're doing. We wish you all the best for the year to come. But until the next episode, it's goodbye for now.